The Criterion channel's reputation as a film preservationist streaming service is in serious jeopardy right now. Hey everyone, this is Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net. Welcome to my channel and to my media channel. This is one of those rare situations in which we will be putting this video on both channels, and I had to get rid of a stinking hair that just refuses to leave me alone. Let me pause this real quick. All right, there we got it. That was really annoying. Sorry, folks. So I'm putting this video on both channels because there has been discussion on Twitter recently on something that was discovered about the classic film, The French Connection. Now, if you have not heard of The French Connection, it is a 70s movie directed by William Friedkin and starring Gene Hackman about a dirty cop, if you will, who's trying to catch a drug lord in the act and discover how cocaine is getting into his town and getting onto the streets. It is an action film that is primarily known for a really intense car chase sequence involving a car, oncoming traffic, and a train or subway, whatever you want to call it. And that scene, by the way, is one of the great action sequences in movie history. Even to this day, with all the CGI and the Fast Furious stuff, you'll watch that scene and it is just one of the most intense things you will ever see. And the film was very well received to the point where it won 5 Academy Awards. It included Best Picture, Best Director, Best Actor, and I think one of the screenplays it also won. But one of the awards it also won was Best Editing. And that's where things get a little ironic. Now then, the movie is a classic, and classic movies routinely show up on the Criterion channel. This is one of the things they're known for. They're known for curated content for film lovers. It be foreign, indie, classic. They celebrate directors and genres, and so it's been my most highly praised streaming service out there, especially if you are a fan of cinema, not just movies, cinema, real classic artful cinema. And I sing their praises all the time. And one of the things that Criterion Channel boasts about is that they will show controversial films on their streaming service. They will show the nitty and gritty filmmakings because they preserve the filmmaker's vision. This is the same company that released, as part of their physical media collection, the Criterion Collection, In the Realm of the Senses, which is a really graphic NC-17 Japanese movie that is actually still banned in Japan to this day. They have that as part of the collection because they have no fear. Or so I thought. And then this situation started coming up where people were pointing out that they went to stream The French Connection on the Criterion channel, and that certain offensive words had been removed from the film. Now, I'm not going to show the clips. Needless to say, the most noticeable one is about 9 to 10 minutes into the movie, where after shaking down a guy, Gene Hackman's character, Jimmy Popeye Doyle, makes a very insensitive racial remark. That racial remark has been cut, followed by the next few seconds, because the exchange would make no sense by cutting out the word. Now, this is of course always a sensitive thing to talk about because the word in question was the hard, the hard R. I think that's what they call it these days, the hard R word. And, well, I know how it looks when someone comes up and says they cut this really offensive word out, and I'm upset. And that's really not the case. I'm not offended that the word is gone. I'm offended that they're censoring the film. A film that, by the way, is rated R and is for adults only. And by the way, the context of this scene is after he says this racial slur, his partner points out that a white guy could just as easily be that person in the future, whereas then Popeye, deflects and says, "Don't trust anyone." So the racism that is in this scene is being called out. So it is there for a reason. And then there is another word at some later point cut out as well. Again, this is a 70s movie. It's rated R. It's for adults. These scenes tell you exactly the kind of cop Jimmy Popeye Doyle is, but because people are too sensitive now and frail, they don't want to hear these words in movies. But let's take this old classic film that perfectly has a good reason, probably one of the better reasons of most films to include this word, and let's just cut it out. And the fact that it's censored on the Criterion channel, where they respect the filmmaker's vision, makes it all the more disappointing. But there's a second element to this, and this is where the Criterion channel might be given a little bit of slack, because it does not appear this is the only place that this change has taken place. Oh, no. So once this news was made public, people who had bought the film on iTunes or Vudu, well, okay, at least iTunes. I don't know about Vudu. I should check. I think I have it on Vudu.
3 hours later.
Okay, so I checked on Vudu. It's the same thing over there. Yeah, apparently these cuts and changes were made if you bought the film on iTunes and Vudu. Now, this does not surprise me, because I think I made a video in the past where when I heard that the blooper reel for Toy Story 2 had been removed in wake of the John Lasseter accusations, Disney decided to cut one of the casting couch jokes that was in the blooper reel at the end of the film. I had that digital copy years before this took place, went there, sure enough it was gone. Thank goodness the physical media copy still has it. And things like this are why I tell people, if you truly love your movies or you truly love your shows, don't give up the physical media. You don't know what they're going to do with it. And never mind the whole Simpsons episode with Michael Jackson being removed. But what this suggests is that the French Connection has indeed been edited. The new version is what's being submitted to everything. And by the way, if there is a 4K release, there is now unfortunately reason to believe that this edit will transfer over. And I don't want to get conspiratorial or anything like that. I don't entirely know the bells and whistles or the mechanics that went into deciding that these few words in an R-rated adult movie had to be removed, even though they were completely contextualized. Well, I suspect it was a call made from Disney, because this is a 20th Century Fox film. Disney now owns the 20th Century Fox library. And even though Disney as an operation is not a very liberal company, Disney as a public company likes to put themselves as a very liberal company. I'm not saying that means it's like, they want to show that they are, well, let me put it this way. They want to show like they are the allies, and it's like, okay, we want to warn people of our problematic past. We want to not acknowledge certain things happened. And even if it's a movie for an adult audience, and I think adults are smart enough to watch these scenes and see what the scene means and not get offended by it, but they decide, we're a family brand. We can't be having people writing pieces where it's like Disney owns this film where this slur is used, this racial slur, and they just don't want those articles. So I think that they're the ones who decide to remove it. I can't prove it. This is just me and my tinfoil beanie on, but I think Disney made that choice. Here's what we do not know about this situation. One, we do not know if the Criterion channel was aware of this change before they put it on their service. Frankly, their reputation is on the line, though, and now that this issue is being made public, they really need to make a statement about this and explain to people what happened. This might have been an honest mistake, but if it was, they need to make that absolutely clear. And in fact, if I was Criterion channel, I would even say we've pulled the French Connection from our channel until we get the uncut version, because we do want to acknowledge the historical aspects of these movies. We don't want to censor film. You know, you start by censoring one or two words that were made in a time period where maybe this was more acceptable to say, and then where else does it go? Does the "Dude Look Like a Lady" song get removed from Mrs. Doubtfire? Maybe. I don't know. Do we no longer see Mufasa falling to his grave? Maybe. I don't know. Because the thing is, eventually someone is going to get offended or upset by something they see. You can't sanitize these movies to please everyone. And I think by changing them, it's like you're ignoring historical context, what was going on during that time period. You know, there's another video I'm going to make about this. It's going to be about the movie The Gay Celluloid, but I think that's actually one of the most important documentaries ever made. And, you know, one of the things that they do in that movie is they basically look at the history of gay, lesbian, and bisexual and transgender in film history. They can see how they were treated and how the public perceived them by watching movies from the area. And sometimes the truth is not pretty, but they could trace their history and they could see where they were, where they are now. It's sometimes very enlightening. That is an excellent documentary. It actually does show up on the Criterion channel once in a while. So when they have it, make sure to check it out. But once you start doing things like this, then the history starts getting lost and you can't trace things anymore. And it's like, it is such a slippery slope. I mean, at some point, who's to say, like, this is not just the only word we should cut? Maybe we should start cutting this. It actually kind of reminds me quite a little bit of Christian fundamentalism. Remember how, well, I don't know, remember, because everyone had different upbringings, but I remember that, you know, there was a time period where I could not watch a lot of these movies because Christians didn't want them shown, and that's why. But you could watch them if they were on TV or by Focus on the Family because they would edit things out. And I know that film fans who weren't necessarily religious felt that was overstepping balance. Like, look, these exist, you can't change them. And now it's the liberals who used to can't champion that, and now they're saying cut them out, it's offensive. I don't get it, but I think the overall thing we should agree with: don't burn books, don't censor movies, let people have access to whatever is out there, and hope that they are smart enough to do their own critical thinking. So right now, if you had the Blu-ray of The French Connection, keep it, because it might be the last time we get the uncut version. And Criterion channel especially needs to address this. In fact, whatever they find out, if I were Criterion channel, I would say, you know what? We made a mistake. We were given an edited copy of a movie. We do not support censorship. We do not support this sort of thing. We are removing The French Connection until a time that we get the uncut version. That should be their response. Who knows what's going to happen? In the meantime, would love to know what you think about all this. Comment below, like, favorite, share, subscribe, and as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.